Good morning, everyone. While we're waiting for others to get in and get settled, now's a good time to grab anything you need to get comfortable. Maybe it's a glass of water or a hot cup of tea or coffee. Also, if you have items at home and you'd like to smudge with me, it's a good time to grab those items as we begin to ignite the healing within. If you don't have smudge at home relatives, that's perfectly okay. We'll send you some cleansing, positive, and healing energy your way. It's a new day. It's another sunrise, a different phase of the moon. This is our opportunity to reset, to start again. I gotta move my kitten. She's on my dining table. We do not allow cats on dining tables. We can set our intentions for the day. We can decide how we want to move forward on our wellness and our self-care path. Aloha kakahiaka. My name is Malia and I'm a community healer at the HIR Wellness Institute. We are a nonprofit organization that focuses on the mental health and wellness of our relatives of Turtle Island, as well as other Indigenous and underserved communities, and also victims of crime. You can join us here every Monday through Friday, where we will always breathe, stretch, explore ways of integrating self-care and wellness into our daily lives, and we will always honor our cultural traditions, our customs, our ancestry, our strength, and our resilience. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize our HIR Wellness Institute team members who are here with us. We have our social work intern and also our moderator for today, John Yang. How you doing today, John? And to our relatives out there, I want to say welcome. We're so happy that you're here with us today. This is a moment and a time where we can just really take the time to reflect on how we're feeling, what it is that we need, what it is that we want, and how we can move forward. If you're new to these videos, we're so happy that you're here today. Whether you've been here from the first video or if this is your first time here, we invite you to comment, ask questions, share your own personal insights, your cultural wisdom. You can always let us know how you're doing, whether you're feeling great or you're not doing good. And when you share, it gives other people the courage to be able to share as well. Right now, we're practicing what we call community activated medicine. This was coined and developed by our founder, Leah Denny, who is a Native Hawaiian woman, a brilliant woman, and one of the most caring people I've ever met. At the HIR Wellness Institute, it is our goal to help people heal from trauma, whether that be historical trauma, whether that be areas of, we all have our trauma, but for some of us, sometimes it can look like violence. Sometimes it can look like pains from childhood. For others of us, it's just living during these times where things are very divided, where we're living in COVID and sometimes we don't know what's going on from day to day. And when we can talk about those things and practice community-activated medicine, it can help heal that trauma, whether it's historical or generational, or whether it's just what we've experienced in our lifetime, or a combination of all of these things. Community-activated medicine means that the people are the medicine. That means we're here to lean into each other. As Indigenous people, inherently our ancestors knew how important the community was for our survival, for us to thrive, and for us to be happy. Community-activated medicine is a reminder of what our ancestors always knew, that we need each other. And if community-activated medicine means that the people are the medicine, that means you have within your own heart, your own mind, your own body, your own spirit, the ability to do your own part of your healing. So we'll check in today. Feel free, relatives, to let us know how you're doing. Then we can talk about it. And for those of you, if you don't want to share, that's okay. But still take a moment. Where are you at today? How are you feeling? Scan the body. Are there areas where you're feeling discomfort, pain, or tension? Are there feelings that are laying heavy in your heart? Or are there thoughts in your mind that kept you up late last night when you were trying to go to sleep? So let us know. And if you don't want to share, that's okay. Take the moment to recognize where you're truly at. And while you're taking a moment to reflect, or you're typing, or just thinking about where you're at today, I'm going to brew some tea. I steamed some filtered water. And what I mean by steam, relatives, is I don't know if you can see it, the steam is rising up, but there's no bubbles in the pan. And steaming teas is very important, particularly when you're dealing with real teas. And what I mean by real teas are teas that actually have Camellia sinensis in it, which is the Latin name for actual tea leaves. I'll show you what real tea leaves look like. And what I mean real tea versus herbal tea is real tea has those tea leaves in it. Herbal tea does not. Now, one is not better than the other. They all have their medicinal purposes and etc. But you can see the tea leaves in here. This is a white tea that I'm showing us. I've been featuring it throughout the week, and you can see these beautiful white tea leaves. This is actually a fava tea brand. I love fava tea. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but this is a white rose melange. White teas have outstanding health benefits. And the only difference between white teas, black teas, and green teas, besides the flavor, because remember, they're all the same tea leaf, is the way that they've been cured or processed and at what point of maturity they've been picked. White tea is the most natural tea. It has been the least processed. It really is just picked before the flowers blossom and then it's sun-dried. And white tea generally comes from northern China provinces, areas of Nepal and Sri Lanka. That's really where the most of the teas originate from. And I love tea as a way of wellness and self-care. This tea smells amazing. It does have rose petals. You can see it. It also has little bits of lavender for calming. The rose petals are excellent antioxidants for skin, as is tea. And note too, relatives, that whenever we're dealing with tea, whether it's white, black, or green tea, it always has caffeine in it. So black tea is the most caffeinated because of the way it's processed. Green tea is the second most, and then white tea is the least. It's similar in comparison to green tea as far as its caffeine, though. So we steam the water when we're dealing with teas, actual real teas. You don't want to boil it because it will bitter it, and it will also it'll bitter the flavor, but it can also destroy some of the medicinal properties of the tea. So it tastes much better when we just steam it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let that brew for about 5 minutes. White Rose Melange from Fava Tea. All right, relatives, let's see how you're doing. John says, I'm doing okay, feeling tired, but hanging in there. Aw, John. I feel you, buddy. Thanks for sharing. The weekend is here, my friend. I hope you can sleep in tomorrow, but maybe not. Hoping you can. John, let us know today too. Are you doing anything for your self-care? What's in your wellness actions today? What are you doing? Holly says, better now that it's Friday. Excellent, Holly. So glad to hear that. Yes, TGIF. I thought I saw more comments, but I must be wrong. I did see someone else before, but it disappeared. So, but relatives, just know that we're thinking about you. We're here for you. And this is our moment for some uplift to reflect on what we need today. So if you're doing great, I'm happy for you. Holly says, looking forward to a lovely bath. Ooh, that sounds beautiful. What a great action of self-care. Karen says, good morning, Karen. Sending love and healing energy to everyone. This week happened to be one of the hardest weeks in years, and I am grateful for chosen family, community, and HIR Wellness. Excited to brew my morning cup of tea with y'all. Karen, thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you for sharing. Whatever it is that you're going through, we're sending you lots of love, healing energy your way. I'm so glad that you're taking moments of gratitude and self-care despite how difficult your week has been. Thank you so much for sharing, Karen. Let us know what tea you're drinking, Karen, if you want to share. Matilda, good morning. So happy you're here with us. Matilda says, heading back to Winnipeg, Canada this afternoon. I'm drinking holy basil this morning. Excellent tea. I love that one, which you introduced a few days ago. I'm feeling a bit tired this morning, self-inflicted, I might add. Also a consequence of playing wordscapes past my bedtime. Looking forward to joining you this morning, but I will need to leave early. This morning I start at 9 a.m. as opposed to 1 p.m. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you for being here, Matilda. Matilda is an elder, one of the healers in our Native communities. Can't wait to meet you one day, Matilda. I'm putting it out there. I hope to meet you one day, even though you're out there in Canada. She's drinking holy basil tea, which relatives, if you've not heard of holy basil, I highly recommend getting into this tea. It is a more affordable price point than a lot of other teas. For example, like when you're drinking roses, it can be a little bit more costly. Holy basil is one of those affordable teas that has really strong benefits. It's analgesic, which means it can help ease pain, tension, discomfort in the body. It's also antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial. So it's really good to help stave off those viruses. It's really also good for insulin. It's good for skin. It's good for relaxation. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, holy basil covers a lot of things about in our bodies, minds, and spirits that we might need. Antoinette, good morning. Thank you for being with us. And how are you doing today, Antoinette? John says, I love guided meditation and mindfulness for his wellness and self-care. Relatives, always feel free to share, to inspire us, to give others ideas for our relatives out there who aren't sure what their wellness or self-care is going to look like for the day. Tea is clearly one of those really enjoyable ways to practice wellness. And why do we practice wellness and self-care? Because it helps us heal from pain and trauma. It helps break that cycle of trauma that many of us and the experiences of our ancestors and our parents and our grandparents have endured. We are resilient people. And we also, when we focus on radical self-compassion, radical self-care, and self-love, we begin to break that cycle of trauma. I know that's what our ancestors want. That's what we need. That's how we heal. That's how we become, able to serve our highest good and what it is that we really want. Joy, happiness. It's a choice. And however we want our self-care and wellness to look, that's the beauty of it, relatives. It is our choice. We are in control. That doesn't mean that everything that happens to us on our path of life is our choice. I mean, we have this path and journey of life, which is synchronous with our path and journey of self-care and wellness and mental health. And as we journey through this path, we choose. Are we going to step one small step, one foot in front of the other? Are we sometimes going to crawl carefully, slowly in this journey? Are we going to sprint forward in this journey? But sometimes there's boulders that are in the way, in the form of obstacles that we weren't planning or we don't have control of. This might be in relationships or situations at jobs or things like COVID. And then sometimes we have to alter that path. Maybe we're going to run and jump over that boulder. Maybe we're just going to shift our feet a few inches to another direction and walk around that boulder. Maybe we're going to be like, nah, I'm going back another way. Or it might even be we're not sure how we're going to handle the situation. So we're literally just going to sit down and lean into that boulder. Take inventory of who is there to support us, what resources and tools we have at our disposal of our own self-care and wellness and healing. And then when we're ready, then we decide how we're going to move forward. Antoinette says, on my way with daughter-in-law for her surgery. Thank you for love and beauty this morning. Antoinette, sending lots of love and healing to your daughter-in-law. Take some deep breaths today. We're thinking about you. And we're thinking about your daughter-in-law. Danielle says, man, what a perfect time for her wellness to be created, shared, and receive funding to continue this important medicine. It's like it was meant to be. Thank you, Danielle. How are you doing today, Danielle? Thank you so much. I also wanted to do a shout out to one of our relatives, Indigo Ocean. Indigo actually lives in California. I don't even think she's quite sure how she stumbled upon the Her Wellness page. But Indigo is an amazing person. She does work with her organization. And she's been, since COVID, has also been working for free. And what she does is with any of the funds she raises, she actually donates to various charities. And Her Wellness is one of the charities that she chose currently. So on Monday, I will post the links to her organization so that you can see all the beautiful things that Indigo does. She's often here with us on these R&Rs when she's able, but being that it's California time, it's pretty early in the morning over there. So Antoinette says she's drinking mint. Oh, mint tea. Love mint tea. Like holy basil, it's a very affordable price point because teas can get costly sometimes. Mint tea is so good for digestion. It's also caffeine free, so if you're sensitive to caffeine but you want to invigorate the mind and have that sense of clarity and pick me up, mint tea is excellent for that. Antoinette, awesome. Perfect tea. Mint tea is one of those teas that you do boil. So notice how a mint tea is just the mint leaves. It's not a true tea. It's called an herbal. It's like an herbal tea. And remember, when we talk about true teas, that's the actual tea leaf, black, green, or white tea. Danielle says she's drinking elderberry. Oh, yum. I don't know if I've ever had elderberry tea. I've had elderberry syrup and I love it. It tastes more like candy than medicine sometimes, but um, elderberry is very, very good for sore throats, and to also help during the cold season is a preventative measure. John says, "Thank you for your kind words, Danielle. We are glad you and other people can benefit from it." Antoinette, Matilda's sending you prayers. Danielle says she's doing great. So happy to hear that. So happy to hear that. Karen says, "I'm drinking an immunity boosting tea that includes echinacea, elderberry, elderflower, and peppermint made by a local family." Karen, what a beautiful treat. Echinacea is one of our native plants here in Wisconsin, probably much throughout the Midwest. And I would not doubt if you can find echinacea kind of all over the United States, all over Turtle Island. A lot of really good medicines there in your tea, Karen. And the fact that it was made by a local family, that is so beautiful. It's good medicine. All right, relatives, I know we focused a lot on tea this week, but the reason we have is because of the lunar phase that we're in, at least according to my ancestral teachings of the native Hawaiian lunar calendar, known as Kealo Okamahina, or the pathway of the moon. We've been in the medicine moons, the moons of La'au. La'au is like medicinal plant things. And so right now we've really been focusing on that the last couple of days. Now, I'm not saying my Hawaiian ancestry is the know-all, be-all, speak-all. As a matter of fact, we really strongly believe at the HIR Wellness Institute that culture is medicine. So I share the culture that I know, but I want you to know, relatives, whatever tribe, clan, chiefdom, geographic location, color of the rainbow, spiritual beliefs, your ancestral wisdom, it's diverse, right? And whatever it is, we embrace that. Be proud of it. Culture is medicine, and it's never too late to start learning. If you're one of those people who you're like, I wish I knew more about my culture, it's okay. It's never too late. Matter of fact, I often work with elders who are 70 years old, in their 70s, and they're just beginning to learn about their culture, and it's very healing to them. So no, relatives, culture is medicine. We actually just left the medicine moon phase. We're now in the waning moon phase. Look at how this tea blossomed up and opened. Look at how those leaves got big. You can see the rose petals have opened up, even the tea leaves. You can see some of the lavender has really opened up. And let's look at the beautiful color of this white tea. Oh, it smells so good. It smells really, really gorgeous. It does smell like roses and lavender, so it smells like flowers, and also a really sweet and delicate hint of the white tea. And white tea does have a very delicate aromatic flavor that does have a sweetness or a flower-like flavor to it, even if there's not rose petals or lavenders or other flowers in there. You can see the color is not as rich as a black or a green tea. Smells excellent. Let's give it a taste. I wish I could share it with you, relatives. And as a Hawaiian woman, as a Hawaiian person, we share everything when we're with each other. We're always sharing food and hugs and whatever you need. It's very communal. So I almost feel guilty when I'm drinking these gorgeous teas and I can't share it with you, but look at that. So I want to do a toast to all of our relatives out there on your healing journey, on this beautiful, what we call in Hawaii, Aloha Friday. May you have moments today, whether you're having a good day or a not so good day, to take time to honor and reflect on the beauty of who you are. You're 1 in 7 billion. Reflect on that for a moment. Honor your uniqueness. Understand what you need. And go for it. Cheers to you all, relatives. This tea would go excellent with some local honey, which is also really good for allergies. I'm just drinking it straight. I just like to taste the tea without sweetener, but you could always put local honey. I know right now in December, people in Wisconsin are actually having allergies. Drink a spoonful of local honey, or even in your teas or any of your elixirs, is really, really good to combat allergies. So I strongly recommend that. Otherwise, you could add some cane sugar, maple syrup, um, any sweetener that you want, agave, or just drink it straight. I love it that way. All right, Danielle says, wait a minute, how did you not spill? I'm surprised, Danielle. Normally, I leave a little bit of sacrifice somewhere on the countertop, but got lucky today. Cheers, Karen. Thank you. So, for our relatives out there who aren't doing okay, every time that we meet, I always take a moment to make sure to remind the relatives, you guys who are having bad days, maybe it's been a bad week, month, or in 2020, it might honestly be seasons or a year of just what might almost seem like too much to bear. Every day that we meet, I will always remind you that if you're not okay, it's okay not to be okay. You know what? Honestly, yesterday I was not okay. I was not okay. I was feeling really sad yesterday. And I reminded myself too, it's okay not to be okay. But if you're not doing all right, there's things that we can do. As I said before, our wellness and our self-care journey, the options are infinite. Whether you just go outside to take a deep breath, or you stretch, or you take a nap, or you drink a cup of tea, exercise, or make a doctor's appointment, or even just write a list of the things you're grateful for, or remind yourself of why you are so beautiful and unique. And the list goes on. Also, if you're not doing okay, relatives, reach out to somebody that you can talk to, someone that you trust. Maybe it's a family member or a friend, might even be a coworker. And you can also reach out to our Cares Warm line. It's open every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And within 24 hours, you'll get a response back. Call or text, it doesn't matter, whatever's comfortable for you. You'll be connected to one of our Cares Warm counselors who are passionate about walking alongside you on your path and journey of self-care, wellness, and mental health. They will listen to you judgment-free, stigma-free. They can provide you with emotional support if you're feeling sad or uncertain or angry or anxious, or maybe you don't even know what you're feeling, but you just know you're feeling some sort of way and you need to talk it out. Not only can they provide you with that emotional support, but also with resources that may be helpful for you. Resources for advocacy, resources if you need to seek shelter, resources for safety. The resources, there's a lot of them out there too, relatives. Before I became a community healer at the HIR Wellness Institute, I was a relative too. I was someone who was seeking help. And as my role of community healer, I want to tell you, relatives, what that means. Community healer does not mean I'm a shaman or a medicine woman. What community healer means at the HIR Wellness Institute is understanding that community activated medicine, we're right now, like we are, gathering together and leaning into each other for support. Recognizing that when the people are the medicine, that means we have within ourselves that ability to heal. We can do our own part of our healing. And so that means we are all healers. I'm just here to remind us of that, to facilitate that, to let you know that not one of us is better than the other, or one of us is stronger than the other, or that I have some sort of sage advice for you. It's not that. It's just to remind you of your ability to heal, of your innate ability to do what you need to do that serves you. What do you need, relatives? What do you need? And whatever it is you need, that's okay. And maybe right now you're not even at a point where you're like, you know what, I know I'm on this path, but I can't, there's nothing I can do about it right now. I'm not ready. Or there's situations that aren't going to allow me to move forward in that way. That's okay, relatives. It's okay. Just even allowing yourself to think about it, to contemplate on it, and to reflect on it. That's very, very powerful medicine. And when the time is right and when you're ready, we'll be here for you. Okay, so yesterday I was not doing okay. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. Because yesterday I was seriously in doubt as to if I would wake up today feeling all right. So I have always sort of gone to food for to like self-medicate. I'm one of those people. I eat if I'm anxious. I eat if I'm angry. I eat if I'm sad. I eat if I'm tired. I eat to celebrate. I eat to connect. I just go to food. And so on my wellness path this year, I've decided to, particularly in this past month in November, that I want to change my course of how I cope with my stress and my anxiety. And so I joined a gym. And yesterday I was in gym class and I haven't worked out for almost the entire year. I went from living a very active lifestyle to living a very sedentary lifestyle because of COVID and because of my job changes. So I go to work out at the gym yesterday, and this particular class puts everybody's stats like in order of like who's winning in the class. And my I couldn't I was the person who could not do any of the moves that we were supposed to do. We were supposed to plank. I couldn't plank for longer than 10 seconds. I was falling over. The instructor was like guiding me through it. Bless her. She was awesome, but it was such a defeat. I felt so defeated by the time I left. And also they have a calorie counter and everyone was blasting like 500, 800, 900 calories. I was at like the 200 calorie mark and I was just feeling all sorts of awful. And I felt so discouraged and I was like, man, I felt so defeated. And I got in the car and I'm like, all right, take some deep breaths. Just know that you're, at the beginning of this part of your wellness. So it's not going to look as good as all the other people who are there. Don't compare yourself. So I took deep breaths and went to the grocery store. I got myself some nutritional food. I went home and I talked about it. I talked about the defeat. I talked about how I felt like I wasn't enough. And my partner listened to me. I was able to lean into him and just tell him how I felt. Like I just felt like I didn't feel good about it. And just he gave me a hug and I reminded myself, you know what? We have those days. And honestly, that I had to remind myself of the gratitude. I was able to afford the gym membership. I was able to have a supporting instructor who was there for me. I survived the class. I was able to afford to go to the grocery store and get some food that I needed. I was able to drive home in a car. I remember there's many years in my life I didn't even have a car. And I was able to go home and to talk about it. And by the time I laid down and went to bed, I started feeling a little bit better about it. So sometimes we have those moments of like, maybe we just don't feel like we're enough. And it happens. We just keep moving forward. Like I said, sometimes those days are like crawling. Sometimes those days we're sprinting forward, and sometimes we're just sitting there on the path, resting it out. Today I woke up, I got to be with you relatives, but now I feel good again. And that's the power of community activated medicine. So let's go to some deep breathing. Deep breathing is a truly profound healing tool. There's so many different types of deep breathing that we can do. What it does is it helps to slow the heart rate, and it helps to slow a racing mind, because oftentimes as Westerners, as Western people, I know many of us are Indigenous people, First Nations people, but we do walk two worlds, right? We walk that modern world, and we walk that wisdom and innate knowledge of our ancestors. So we're sort of walking on this path of, of walking in two worlds. So anyways, when we have that Western mind thought of our bills, of our responsibilities, of taking care of our children, our grandchildren, our spouse, our parents, ourselves, and then we might have jobs, or we might even be doing work at home and we're not even getting paid for that, or whatever our responsibilities are. Our Western mind becomes very, 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 very dominant in now think about it, when we have body, mind, spirit, our mind really should not always be driving, but generally nowadays it is. But we also have other parts of us that need to be able to be in the lead sometimes, to be at the forefront. So when we deep breathe, what it does, it slows down that racing mind. It brings us to, there's no language there. It just, well, there is language. It brings us to our heart. It connects us to the heart. It grounds us there. The heart does have language, but it's not with word. It's with emotion. That's the language that spirit understands. So when we connect to the heart space, that's where we become aware of that light that we're always in that spirit that's always here within us. It allows the spirit to come to the forefront. And that's where we inherently allow ourselves to be in that light, to grow in that light. It's innately healing to deep breathe. That's what it does. Not only on the physiological level, a physical level, an emotional level, a spiritual level, deep breathing is very powerful. Okay. So I have my feet flat on the floor, but you can sit, lay, or recline however you like. This week we're focusing on star breathing. So star breathing, we're actually going to breathe, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And as we do that, we're going to trace a star, or you can trace it on your hand, because you can do this in public too. Like, for example, if you're waiting in a waiting room at a hospital or a clinic or something, you don't want everyone to know you're star breathing. You can do it on your hand very gently, or you can even just imagine that star. Are you ready, relatives? Here we go. Deep inhale. Closing the eyes are optional. Expand that belly. Hold the breath. Exhale and release through the mouth. Deep inhale. And exhale. Deep inhale. Bring in some healing energy. And exhale. Deep inhale. We're going to make that star again. Exhale. Deep inhale. And exhale. We're just going to do some shoulder shrugs here. As we continue to breathe, just think about those areas of your body where you might be feeling pain or discomfort or tension. If you feel it in your shoulders, relatives, unfortunately, a lot of us do. So if you have tight shoulders, go ahead and squeeze them even tighter. I know it might look funny, but then release. Squeeze again. It looks silly. That's okay though. And one more. All right, let's roll those shoulders a couple of times. We're going to go ahead and clasp those fingers together, or stretch however you want, relatives. Palms out and up towards the ceiling, gently bending from side to center. You know what, though, about the gym? I'm going back today for more. I will not be defeated. Hopefully it gets easier every day. All right, and finally, let's go ahead and just give ourselves a hug. This will stretch the upper back muscles. Deep inhale. And other side. All right, relatives. That we'll go to the comments, and also too that reminds me to share a story, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. It can be very healing. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying you should go out and tell every stranger in the world what what your vulnerability is or what your pain is. Although I kind of just did that. I know you all are relatives, and I know this is a safe space, but anyone could be watching at any time, and I just put it out there. So I want to remind you relatives, that when we're vulnerable, sometimes when it feels right for you, it can be transcended. It can really be helpful. Um, but you have to do it when it feels right for you in your heart. Don't feel like, vulnerability is something you should always go for. Really do take a moment to listen and feel with your gut and with your heart if it feels right. And that also goes along to, I was thinking about this yesterday as well when I was feeling really down, was, sometimes in today's society, in our Western world, people often ask how you doing, and we always say good, fine, or whatever. And usually it's like we're obviously just protecting ourselves from having to share about what we may be doing, because maybe we are good, but maybe we aren't good. But it reminds me about what sometimes we talk about in the wellness world is toxic positivity, where if you truly aren't doing okay, it's very important that you allow yourself to say, you know what, I am having a bad day. You know what, this doesn't feel good. You know what, I'm not all right. Because if we're here, if this is where we're at, and we're sort of not allowing ourselves to be here, and we say that we're here, then we can't really step forward. It's like we're not being truthful and authentic about our feelings, and it keeps us stuck. So, and that's what I mean by toxic positivity, is like, if you're not okay, allow yourself to not be okay. That doesn't mean you should sit there eternally, but it means that you recognize and honor where you're at, because you deserve that. You deserve to be able to feel how you feel. Do you ever have those friends who, when you tell them how you feel, and they're like, well, at least it's not this, at least it's not that? No, 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 no. You don't have to listen to that either. But if you feel a certain way, that doesn't mean you can't have gratitude. It doesn't mean you're whiny. All it means is you know how you feel. You allow yourself to recognize how you feel, and then you know how you are going to choose for yourself how to move forward. Okay, so Karen says, thank you for sharing, Malia, and the reminders of gratitude, sending a big virtual hug. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. I could have used a million hugs last night, I felt like. Thank you, Karen, so much. Danielle says, I managed a gym for 3 years. The fact that you stepped into the door of that gym is something to be so proud of. I promise you, this feeling is necessary to appreciate your progress. You can measure your progress by functional tasks, like how well you can carry boxes around the house, how much easier it will be when you garden in the spring. I'm so happy your trainer is supportive. Numbers are numbers. Go with your feelings. Danielle, thank you so much. And that's awesome to know. Um, yeah, I just kept telling myself, like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. This is the hardest it's going to be for you, because you're starting at ground zero. And I kept telling myself that. But Danielle, it was humbling yesterday. And I was the one in the class, like, I was the one. You know, the one where you're like worried about them. Like, are they going to get through the class? Should they be here? Holly says, thank you for sharing your story. I wish my partner was more supportive, but his chronic pain and stress limits his ability for empathy. Holly, sending you lots of love, Holly, and thanks for sharing. Just know we're here for you, Holly. And if you need to, call HIR Wellness, inbox us, call the Cares Warm line, because sometimes if you want to talk about it and you need someone to listen, and with your partner having the chronic pain and stress and his ability for empathy is limited, then you might need others to lean into, and that's what we're here for. So sending you lots of love, Holly. You're a resilient person. And also you do need your moments to be, to be able to lean into others. So Holly, we're here for you. All right, relatives. Before we go, I did want to just say thank you all so much for being here today. This is community activated medicine. It's healing, as our founder Leah Denny always says, healing is not complicated. Yes, life can be complicated. Our Western world can be complicated. But healing doesn't have to be complicated. You can decide what you want your wellness and self-care journey to look like. And what does wellness mean? What does self-care mean? It's any thought or action that you take, that you do, even if it's seemingly minuscule, which it is not, that brings joy, happiness, healing to you, and it serves you in what you want and what you need for your highest good. Wellness and self-care can honestly look like a nap. It can look like your favorite ice cream and Netflix. If you're working, if you're like chronically working, you're working overtime, you're exhausted, Netflix and ice cream can be self-care. There's a catch to it though. You can't do it with guilt and you can't do it with shame. You got to just do it and be like, this is what I need right now. But wellness can also look like a trip to the doctor or dentist. Wellness can look like even deciding to go to the gym. Wellness can look like a hug from your children or from someone you love, depending with the COVID thing. Wellness can look like a cup of tea, but it also can be looking in the mirror and deciding for the first time in a long time, you're going to look at what's beautiful about you instead of the flaws that you see. And how do you choose your wellness? It's completely up to you. I was talking about the medicine moons. We're actually in a different moon phase. We left the medicine moons. Today we're in the Ole Ku moons, Ole Ku Kahi. What does that mean? We're in the first day of the absence of Ku in the moons. Now, Ku is one of the four major Hawaiian gods of perseverance, of striving for excellence, of discipline and sacrifice for the greater good. We're in the absence of that in these moons. And so what does that mean? It means in the physical realm, it's poor fishing and it's unproductive planting. What that means in our mental and emotional and wellness realms, what can we do? That means instead of action today, allow yourself to reflect. Allow yourself to rest. Allow yourself to plan. Allow yourself to manifest and imagine what it is you want and what you need and what you want your life to look like when you're living your best life. The next few days this weekend, these are rest days. These are preparation days. These are planning days. Enjoy them. Decide what you want and what you need. I want to say mahalo nui loa. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Malama pono iko kino. Take good, righteous care of your mind, your body, your heart, your spirit. Aloha nui. Huge love to you all out there, relatives. You're amazing. Before we go, there's a community survey link to this video. It's completely anonymous and asks just a few questions. If you haven't yet, please take it, relatives. It's how we're able to keep our services completely free and also helps us to understand how best to serve you. That is our passion, to walk alongside you on your path and journey of self-care, wellness, and mental health. Ahui ho akuno, have a wonderful weekend and Aloha Friday. And we'll see you on Monday. Take care, everyone. Aloha.